Indian historiography, various ideological frameworks. Colonial historiography. The early scholars who studied and wrote Indian history were mainly British officers and Christian missionaries. Their prejudice is clearly reflected in the way some of them have ridiculed Indian culture. Their writings were used to justify the colonial British rule. The 5 volumes of Cambridge History of India, published during 1922 to 1937 CE, are distinct examples of colonial historiography. Orientalist historiography. Many European scholars felt curious about civilizations and countries of the East. Some of those scholars felt admiration and respect for them. These scholars were known as Orientalists. The Orientalists studied the similarities between Sanskrit and some of the European languages. They focused more on Vedic tradition and Sanskrit literature. Their studies resulted in formulating the notion of an ancient language that could be the mother of all Indo-European languages. In 1784, Sir William Jones founded Asiatic Society in Kolkata. It opened the doors for research in ancient Indian literature and history. Among the Orientalist scholars, Friedrich Max Müller deserves a special mention. In his opinion, Sanskrit was the most ancient language of the Indo-European languages. He first translated the Sanskrit text of Hitopadesh. It was of 50 volumes of the Sacred, the East. He translated Rig Veda in German. Lately, Edward Said, a scholar who has re-evaluated the Orientalist writings, has thrown light on imperialistic interests of Orientalist scholars. Nationalistic historiography. The writings of Indian historians who were trained in the British educational system show an inclination to restore the pride in the ancient glory of India and the self-esteem of the Indian readers. Their writings are known as nationalistic historiography. Nationalistic writings in Maharashtra were inspired by Vishnu Shastri Chiplunukar. The nationalistic historians tried to seek the golden era of Indian history. They are at times blamed for ignoring the critical analysis of the historical truth. Mahadev Govind Ranade, Ramkrishna Gopal Bhandarkar, Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, Rajendra Lal Mishra, Ramesh Chandra Majumdar, Kashi Prasad Jaiswal, Radha Kumud Mukherjee, Bhagwan Lal Indraji, Vasudev Vishnu Mirashi, and Anant Sadashiv Altekar are the names of some renowned scholars among the nationalistic historians. Rajwade is well known for his writings in Marathi on varied subjects like history, linguistics, etymology, grammar, etc. He was of the firm opinion that we should write our own history. He compiled and edited 22 volumes of Marathyancha Itihasachi Sadhane. He wrote very scholarly prefaces to each of the 22 volumes. He stated, "History is the all-inclusive image of the past societies. It does not include only the stories of political images, conspiracies and wars for seizing power." He insisted that history should be written only using the authentic documentary source. The nationalistic historiography helped in the triggering of the independence movement of the Indian people against the British. In this aspect, the book The Indian War of Independence 1857, written by Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, is of great importance. Chapter 2. Historiography, Indian Tradition. Objectives of the lesson. Today we would learn about tradition of Indian historiography, Indian historiography, various ideological frameworks. Tradition of Indian historiography. We learnt about the Western tradition of historiography in the last lesson. In this lesson, we will know about the tradition of Indian historiography. Historiography in the ancient period. In the ancient period in India, memories of the great deeds of ancestors and mythological lore, also memories of social transitions, were preserved with the help of oral recitals. The inscriptions on the Harappan seals and the other artifacts confirm that Indians had mastered the art of writing as early as the 3rd millennium BCE, or perhaps before that. However, the Harappan script is not yet successfully deciphered. The earliest known written documents of historical nature found in India are in the form of inscriptions. They are dated to the 3rd century BCE, that is, Emperor Ashok Maurya's times. His edicts are inscribed on natural rocks and stone pillars. From the 1st century CE, inscriptions begin to occur on coins, metal images and sculptures, and also on copper plates. They provide important historical information. We get to know about the dates of various kings, dynastic genealogies, territorial extent, and administration of various kingdoms, and also important political events, social organization, climate, famines, etc. of the respective times. The ancient Indian literature, including the epics Ramayana and Mahabharata, Puranas, Jain and Buddhist texts, historical accounts by Indian authors, and also travelogues by foreign travelers and empire are important sources of history. Writing of biographies of kings and dynastic histories mark an important step in the Indian historiography. Harshachari, written in the 7th century CE by Banabhatta, is King Harsha's biography. It portrays a realistic picture of the social, economic, political, religious, and cultural life during the king's times. You would like to know this. Sohagaura copper plate. The copper plate was found at Sohagaura district, Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. It is supposed to be from the Mauryan period. The inscription on it is in Brahmi script. The symbols known as tree in railing and mountain at the beginning of the inscription also occur on punch-marked coins. Another symbol, which looks like a structure erected on 4 pillars, is supposed to be indicative of a granary. The inscription records a royal order that the grain stored in the granary should be distributed carefully. It is supposed to be suggestive of precautions taken in the times of a famine. Historiography in the medieval period. The style of writing Rajtarangini, the history of Kashmir by Kalhana in the 12th century CE, is quite close to the concept of modern historiography. In the medieval India, the historians in the courts of Muslim rulers were influenced by Arabic and Persian historiography. Among them, Ziauddin Barani holds an important place. In Tarikh-i-Firuz Shahi, a book written by him, he has stated the purpose of historiography. According to him, the historian's duty is not limited only to the recording of the ruler's valor and policies of welfare, but he should also write about the ruler's failings and incorrect policies. Barani further says that a historian should also take into consideration the impact of the teachings of the wise, the learned, and the saints on the cultural life of people. Thus, Barani expanded the scope of historiography. The custom of adding suitable poetic quotes and beautiful pictures was also introduced. Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire, wrote an autobiography entitled Tuzuk-i-Babri. It contains the descriptions of the battles fought by him. Babur also recorded his minute observations of various regions and cities travelled by him, including the local economy, customs and the flora. Abul Fazl's Akbarnama is very important from the viewpoint of critical historiography. His method of collecting authentic historical documents and their scrutiny is looked upon as devoid of bias and hence realistic. Bakhar is an important type of historical documents of medieval times. It contains eulogies of the heroes and stories of historic events, battles, lives of great men. Marathi Bakhars are of various types. Sabhasad Bakhar was written by Krishnaji Anant Sabhasad during the reign of Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj. It is an important Bakhar for getting information about the rule of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Bhausahebanchi Bakhar describes the Battle of Panipat. Another Bakhar entitled Panipatachi Bakhar is also about the same event. Holkaranchi Kaifiyat provides information about the Holkars and their contributions to the Maratha rule. You would like to know this. Sohagaura copper plate. The copper plate was found at Sohagaura district, Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. It is supposed to be from the Mauryan period. The inscription on it is in Brahmi script. The symbols known as tree in railing and mountain at the beginning. Do you know? Justice Mahadev Govind Ranade has explained the background of the rise of Maratha Empire in great details in his book, The Rise of Maratha Power. According to him, it was not like a suddenly erupted forest fire, but the ground for it in Maharashtra on the social, cultural and religious levels was getting ready over a prolonged period. Do you know? V.K. Rajwade founded Bharat Itihas Sanshodhak Mandal in Pune on 7th July 1910 to facilitate historical research. Human history is defined by time and space. Describing any event necessitates that the final portrayal should be spread on the complete canvas of the given time and place. Only if a balanced combination of the three factors, time, space and personalities, is present, then only an event does qualify to be called so. V.K. Rajwade. Historiography in the post-independence era. Now, along with writing the dynastic histories, the cultural, social, economic histories were also being written. Scholars of the post-independence era began to feel the need of writing histories of various communities, sciences, economic systems, political ideologies, cultural aspects, etc. The historiography of this era has been influenced mainly by three ideological schools. 1. Marxist history. 2. Subaltern history. 3. Feminist history. Marxist history. The concern for the means of production, modes of production, and the industrial relations were at the center in the writings of Marxist historians. Marxist historians in India studied the transitions within the caste system. Among the notable Indian historians who adopted Marxist ideological framework, scholars like Damodar Dharmanand Kosambi, Comrade Shripad Amrut Dange, Ram Sharan Sharma, Comrade Sharad Patil have contributed notably. Comrade Dange was one of the founder members of the Indian Communist Party. Primitive Communism to Slavery, the book written by him, represents Marxist historiography. Subaltern history. The seeds of subaltern history are found in the Marxist historiography. The role of the Italian historian Antonio Gramsci is very important in developing the idea that history should be written starting from the bottommost ranks of people in the society. In fact, subaltern means the bottommost ranks. Folklore has been considered as a very important source of writing subaltern histories. Ranjit Guha, an Indian historian, played a major role in establishing subaltern history as an important academic school of historiography. However, we may point out that much before the onset of subaltern ideology, similar thoughts were expressed by Mahatma Jyotirao Phule and Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Mahatma Phule unfolded the history of the Shudrati-Shudra communities in his book Gulamgiri. He drew attention to the exploitation of women, Shudras and Ati-Shudras done under the name of religion. The terms Shudra and Ati-Shudra indicates the bottommost ranks in the caste system. The role of the people belonging to Dalit castes is very significant in the shaping of various cultural and political aspects of India. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, focusing on this fact, consistently wrote about it. Two of his books, Who Were the Shudras and The Untouchables, may be cited as examples of history of subaltern type. Feminist history. Over a significant period of time, mainly male scholars were involved in the writing of Indian history. As a result, the role and achievements of women in history remained neglected. To highlight this fact was a major task faced by the feminist historians. Also, it was important to study and compile the historical writings of women. It was also necessary to rethink of women's position in history. Among women authors writing about women in the 19th century CE, Tarabai Shinde was the foremost one. She wrote attacking the male-dominated social system and the caste system. Her book, Stri-Purush Tulana, published in 1882, is acknowledged as the first feminist book in India. In 1888, the book written by Pandita Ramabai was published, entitled The High Caste Hindu Woman. The feminist literature of the post-independence era concentrated on the issues like employment of women, treatment meted out to them at their workplace, their right to political equality, etc. Among the recently published feminist literature, Meera Kosambi's book, Crossing Thresholds, Feminist Essays in Social History, is of importance. It contains essays on the life stories of women like Pandita Ramabai and Dr. Rukmabai, the first practicing lady doctor of India. A lot of literature is available unfolding the viewpoint of Dalit women in Maharashtra. Dr. Sharmila Rege's work is noteworthy in this context. Her book, Writing Caste, Writing Gender, Reading Dalit Women's Testimonies, includes her essays on the autobiographies of Dalit women. There have been a number of Indian historians who wrote without embracing a particular ideology. Among them, historians like Sir Jadunath Sarkar, Surendranath Sen, Riyasatkar G.S. Sardesai and Triambak Shankar Sejwalkar are noteworthy. In the recent times, historians like Yashwant Dinkar Phadke, Ramchandra Guha, etc. have contributed extensively to the historiography of modern India. Do you know, V.K. Rajwade founded Bharat Itihas Sanshodhak Mandal in Pune on 7th July 1910 to facilitate historical research. Human history is defined by time and space. Describing any event necessitates that the final portrayal should be spread on the complete canvas of the given time and place. Only if a balanced combination of the three factors, time, space, and personalities, is present, then only an event does qualify to be called so. V.K. Rajwade. Historiography in the Do you know? Publication of Marathi Riyasat by Govind Sakharam Sardesai was a momentous achievement in the field of Indian historiography. His work became so famous that people began to address him as Riyasatkar. He published several volumes of Maratha history. Thus, it is evident that the Indian historiography has been influenced greatly by the social and political movements. It seems that some part of the Indian historiography was also developed outside the influence of these movements. Do you know? Al-Biruni wrote in Arabic about Indian knowledge and social life. In the following period, many books about India were written by foreign scholars. Among them, to name a few are Hasan Nizami's Tajul Ma'ask, Minhaj-e-Siraj's Tabakat-e-Nasiri, various works by Amir Khusrau, Tuzuk-e-Timuri, the autobiography of Timur-e-Lang, who was also known as Amir Timur, who invaded India. Tariq-e-Mubarak Shahi by Yahya bin Ahmad Sirhindi. Their accounts provide us with historic information of Sultanate period. Accounts of foreign travelers in India are also important. Among them are Ibn Battuta, Abdul Razak, Marco Polo, Niccolo Conti, Barbosa, and Domenigo's Pace. Their accounts provide us with historic information of medieval India. Ishwardas Nagar, Bhimsen Saxena, Khafi Khan, and Niccolao Manucci were among the historians of Aurangzeb's times whose accounts are important sources of Mughal history. Historiography in the modern period. In the 20th century, the Indian archaeological exploration and research started under the British rule. A number of ancient sites were excavated under the supervision of Sir Alexander Cunningham, the first Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India. He chose mainly the sites mentioned in the Buddhist texts for this purpose. Harappan civilization was discovered during the tenure of Sir John Marshall. Because of this discovery, the antiquity of Indian history could be traced to 3rd millennium BCE or even earlier. 3 volumes of the History of British India, written by James Mill, were published in 1817. This was the first book on Indian history written by a British historian. It clearly reflects an absence of objective, perspective and prejudice about various aspects of the Indian culture. The History of India, written by Mount Stuart Elphinstone, Governor of Bombay, now Mumbai, was published in 1841. Grant Duff's name stands out among the British officers who wrote about Maratha history. He wrote the book entitled A History of Marathas. Grant Duff's writing also shows the British inclination of condemning Indian culture and history. Similar tendency is witnessed in Colonel Todd's writings about Rajasthan's history. The 2 volumes written by William Wilson Hunter on Indian history shows a somewhat impartial treatment of the subject. Nilkant Janardhan Kirtane and Vishwanath Kashinath Rajwade were 2 Indian historians who took upon the task of exposing the limitations of Grant Duff's writings. Do you know?
To connect with us, visit www.studycloud.in or call or WhatsApp today on 9326 866901 or email us at support@studycloud.in to become a Study Clouder.